last video we learned how to thread our bobbin, so yet again we're going to place our bobbin down in the bottom portion here, gently placing it in its hole. If it does not fit in properly or easily, it's the wrong bobbin, so you need to find the correct one. So we're going to guide with our string, following along the arrows that are provided, up and around. Tuck it in with your finger if you need to, and then pull back slightly and it will rip it off for you. Put on your cover, hear it click, then that's all set. So now we are going to actually thread our sewing machine. So we go to the top where we already have our thread in place. If you don't, then you just need to simply find the thread you want. There is a hole that goes through the center of your thread. You're going to place it gently on here. Make sure you put your cover back on to hold the thread in place. Okay? You're going to want to have a little thread already pulled off and started. There's a couple different steps to this, but again, just like threading the bobbin, there are indicators on the machine on what you need to do. So step one is we need to wrap our thread around this top portion here. Okay, step two indicates with an arrow down that we're going to pull our thread down. Step three indicates that we are going to loop it back up again. So we hold it very gently. We can slightly pull. We're going to wrap it back up. Now, step four is a little tricky. There's a center portion that moves up and down in this machine. You essentially need to be wrapping your thread. You need to wrap it on the right side and then have it come back down on the left side. It will catch once you've done that. And you're going to pull it back down again for step 5. Okay, now the next portion, there is a little hook here. You don't have to use this, it's up to you, but I tend to like to wrap it around there as just a guide. It's a little tricky because it gets a little crowded back there. You can wrap it around and it catches it. Okay, now you can move your needle up and down. If your needle's in the down position, you need to make sure you have it up so you can thread it in there. So on the side of your machine here, you have a control that moves your needle up and down. So move that so your needle is in the upright position. I like to trim the end of my thread so it's a nice fresh end. You don't want it to be frayed because it's going to be very hard to get it through that small opening. If you need to, lick your fingers. Wet it a little bit so it's not so frayed and all of your little ends are intact. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the opening. You're going to hold it with a little bit of thread between the end of your fingers. And very carefully, you're just going to guide it through that hole. You'll find it come through the back. And you're just going to gently pull it back on through again. And it should be hanging out the bottom. Like such. Okay, so if you have your bobbin intact, and you have your thread correctly threaded through your needle, you should be able to start to sew. So as long as you have your material, which we have our piece of material here, I can line it up. This is just going to be an example. We have our machine set at a straight stitch on the top going across here. You have your different examples of your different stitches. Ours is currently set at a 2, which is a straight stitch. Okay, so that's what we will be seeing here. In order to begin to stitch this, once we have it lined up, we have a little lever in the back here. Okay? You need to put that down so this foot comes down on the material. That's going to press it and hold it against the bottom so it will move gently for you. Once you have it lined up wherever you want it, make sure you're putting that back down again. Put your foot on the paddle and you can start to sew. If you want to do just a quick stay stitch, you can just push this down and it will do that for you. You can lift the lever back up again and you can pull it free. There is a small little sharp point on the side here. You can just pull this up and gently rip and it will, well, it should cut it for you. However, if it is not sharp enough, you should always have your scissors close by where you can just simply snip it off instead. There you are.